Hey folks, why do people hate atheists? Number one, they actually don't hate atheists. Number two, they're insufferable personalities. Both of these things are completely 100% true. How are they true? Well, it has to do with perceptions and with filters. Chances are, if you've interacted with an atheist online, how did you know they were an atheist? Well, they talked about atheism a lot. Whereas most atheists that you know in your life, they just go through their life, they do their thing, they interact with you. It's fine. Nobody has a big deal. The atheist isn't spending a lot of his time thinking about religion or attacking religion. But the person who has atheism as a core component of their identity are doing that all the time. So naturally, you're going to associate atheist with bad personality because 100% of the time when somebody is talking about being an atheist and attacking a religion, they have a really insufferable personality that goes right with it. They're being very annoying. And that's why people dislike or even hate atheists. It's because their interactions when they know the person's an atheist tend to be negative. But as you get to know people and you find out they're atheists, usually you realize it's not something that would stop you from having some kind of cordial relationship with the person. You don't hate the person. You may have zero negative feelings about the person. And the atheist probably feels the same way about the religious person, because somebody who's just sort of operating without belief, they're just not really thinking about it that much. They're not agonizing and thinking about how bad it is that people have religious beliefs. They're just sort of doing their own thing and living their own life. And that's the way most people are. Most people are wanting to do their own thing and live their own life. Now, most religious people, they want to be able to go to church on Sunday and they want to be able to say their prayers and do their religion and in those contexts, be around other people like at the Sunday school who have their religion. And they don't want to have to engage in apologetics on the street or at a restaurant or randomly when they encounter someone online, which to the human mind, remember, an online encounter isn't that different from a real life encounter in terms of our perception. We understand it's a person, that person is attacking you, and so you're going to have negative feelings about that. Or, at a party. No one wants to engage in apologetics at a party. It's a format where as soon as somebody's attacking your religion or any of your beliefs, really, but your religious beliefs, then you're on the defensive and you have to be extra careful with what you say. You can't be free and relaxed and sort of say how you feel like you would want to in a normal social situation. So whenever somebody shows up in a social situation and wants to talk about atheism, and I've seen plenty of these, immediately the energy of the party dies back, because people don't want to engage in it. This person might not have a strong belief, but is really annoyed. There's an atheist here that's really annoyed that the other atheist is just attacking Christianity and calling everybody Christ cucks or whatever other little terminology they like to use there. It just puts a big damper on any kind of social gathering when you end up hotly contesting ideas. That's why we tend to put those sorts of things in formal environments. Like, we're going to discuss the city council bill in this building where we'll debate it publicly, and we have these different sorts of formats versus a private party in the house. There's this idea that everybody should be friendly and we should take care about other people's feelings and think about how other people are going to interpret the things that we say so that they'll be comfortable. We're trying to create a comfortable social matrix. And so when somebody who's got this core feeling, I'm an atheist and I hate Christianity, I want everybody else to be like me, they're not going to be well liked. And it doesn't really have to do with the atheism per se. It's the way that they are, it's the way that they're acting. It's their insufferable personalities. Now, I was thinking about this because the other week YouTube sometimes throws random content at me, and it gave me this YouTube atheist essay that was very reminiscent of the 2010s. I had a little nostalgia about that because of all those video essays from atheists back when, I don't know, there was a big kind of boom in content about that kind of stuff. And it was like, why do people hate atheists? And it was a bunch of wrong reasons, when the main reason is people don't like atheists because, maybe not 100% of the time, but most of the time when they know the person's an atheist, it's because they're having a bad interaction with them over atheism. That's why they don't like them. But it's little things like, they feel threatened, or, they cling to their beliefs because these things give them meaning. The religion fills in these little holes that atheists don't need. And they're afraid that atheists won't keep to their word. And some of those things might be true on some kind of distant level, but the truth is that most of the time when you meet a person in the social matrix, you you are going to assume that they're going to keep their word because they're connected in your social circle. We have a fairly high trust society. So the fact that they would or wouldn't, they are or they aren't afraid of hell if they scam you doesn't really enter into most people's mind when they're interacting with other people. It's more immediate. Like, you don't want people to scam, you don't want to scam people because you can go to jail for that, right? You can lose your business for that. So there's a lot of more immediate things that have to do with that. A religious person might think about that stuff deeply further down the line. Like, do I really trust a person who thinks there's no consequence to his actions? That's like psychopathy, right? Or just has no feelings about other people and isn't afraid of other people. Like, psychopathy and atheism would kind of go hand in hand, but not necessarily. Like, one doesn't cause the other. Do you know what I mean? So most of the time when you're interacting with atheists, they're fine. There's nothing wrong with them, and they don't make a big deal about their beliefs. And chances are you don't make a big deal about your beliefs. If you are hiring a roofer, you're probably not trying to get him to go to church while he's doing your roof. You're probably hiring him to do a roof and maybe making some small talk. And people who are very evangelical minded, they're probably going to develop more of a relationship before they start trying to like throw the Bible at them. But, there's people who do that. So there's probably a flip side of that. Why do people hate evangelicals? Is because most of the time when you're interacting with that evangelical, if you're not part of that group especially, you're going to be, it's going to be a hostile situation. You're sitting at a restaurant, someone comes over, and I've had people do this to me, and it's uncomfortable and annoying even as a Christian, right? It's like someone comes over and wants to Bible thump at you, right? They want to attack you because they think you're not a Christian, and saying you need to go to church. And it's like, yes, I attend church, and I'm, but I shouldn't have to do a profession of faith while I'm sitting and eating my dinner, right? That's just like a random intrusion into my normal social space. Like, why are you doing that? That's not I'm not going to like you because of that. But if that's my only interaction with evangelical Christians, which it's not, so I know most of them, the vast majority, are not like this, and it's probably the same, on the other side. But if that was my only interaction, then I would probably really hate evangelicals, because I'd be like, these are these people that come over and yell at you when you're trying to have dinner, and are thumping their Bible down on the table and telling you that you need to read it, and you're going to go to hell if you don't do this. So you associate whatever gets through the filter, whatever you notice is what you associate with that thing. And it can happen from a lot of different angles. But that's why, if you're like, why do people hate atheists? It's because they actually don't. They really don't, whether they're religious or not. Other atheists will dislike militant atheists for the reasons that I gave. They just make people uncomfortable. It's like, I don't want to have to sit there and have this conversation every time that I talk to you. Isn't there more to you? Isn't there more to life than your non-belief? And there's always kind of this tension between, if you don't believe so much, why do you talk about it so much? But it's part of their identity. And so that's the way that you're going to notice it. So anyway, leave me your thoughts down below. I'd love to read them. I think this sort of filtering applies for a lot of different types of people. When you notice somebody is in a group and it's negative, then you're just going to make that association that it's negative, even though it's invisible. It's we call it the toupee paradox. Like, I've never seen a bad toupee, or I've never seen a good toupee. Yeah, because the good toupees are invisible. They look like normal hair. You only notice the bad toupees. So that's the toupee paradox, or the toupee filter. It's a kind of filter, and it applies with this situation. So let me know. Check out my Patreon down below, and I will check you all next time. Have a great, great day.